Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Cinema A to B. Today's going to be a fun one. We are going to be talking about the first blockbuster from Steven Spielberg, 1975's Jaws. Ben, let's dive right in.
Shall we dive? So given the age of this film, unfortunately, I think we're entering territory where this thing is underrated. I think now for you and I don't think that's true, and folks that are older, but we're this year's 50th anniversary of Jaws, and so it's old enough now. We're starting to get into territory where I do believe like it's becoming woefully underrated. Just how good this movie is. And evidence one is that it's just an 8.1 on IMDb. That's criminally low. This probably perfect. It's probably perfect, even with all of the production issues and the shark not working and everything that they encountered. I mean, Spielberg wanted to quit filmmaking during this movie. It's well documented how miserable he was. All that being said, I think it's probably perfect.
Yeah.
In every single way. And the only way to prove that to somebody is just going to have to rewatch it. But it's, I've got a lot to say about it, but like, that's kind of what I want to get at is there's no false notes in this. You have some of the best actors to ever do it in so many roles, namely the top three with Scheider, Dreyfuss, and Shaw. Really good adaptation of a very successful book. So it's like it didn't tick off a bunch of people that read it. I mean, it was like, but for me, this is the greatest edit job in the history of cinema is Jaws. They called her Mother Cutter. Verna Fields saved this movie. Without her, I don't know what they would have done, because it wasn't just her, but her putting her head together with Spielberg, and they come up with all this material that they shoot later to give you the perspective of the shark instead of actually seeing it. And it literally elevates the film. Had the shark worked, I don't think we're sitting here talking about any sort of celebration of the 50th anniversary of Jaws. No. Because of how heavily that animatronic would have been featured. Even if it looked really good for the time, it would have been so overutilized. I don't think the tension would have been there. I don't think we're sitting here talking about Jaws on its 50th release. Like, I just don't. And the summer
blockbuster drastically changes.
Yes. Yeah, it's something else. And I don't know if we're, Spielberg's probably still a director today, but I don't know if he's the Steven Spielberg that we know, king of the blockbuster. If things don't play out right for this thing to get saved in the edit, the combination of her editing skill, them shooting some additional stuff, shark perspective, and then John Williams creating that utterly iconic score. It's you want a recipe for tension building as a filmmaker, throw on Jaws.
So I'm kind of right there with you. It's funny because I grew up watching this movie a lot, and I never loved it. For me, it was throw on Raiders of the Lost Ark, Last Crusade, Star Wars, any of those, E.T., not Jaws. I don't know. It even from that perspective, it felt older and didn't really like it. I mean, I realized it was good. It was, scary or solid, but it's probably been over a decade or more since I've seen Jaws. Like, we're probably talking almost 2 decades since I saw Jaws. And so I sat down and I watched it and was absolutely blown away. Like, that 50 years later, I don't even know how many viewings. I know what's happening. I know every scene that's going to happen. Like, I've seen this so many times. The fact that I'm still so engaged in the story, still so moved by some of the shots of the shark, or like you said, like when you're in the water, of just how scary it is. And of course, even though I know it's coming, is when the camera zooms into Rob Schneider's face when he's on the beach, watching the kid get eaten. I'm still just, that instinct of fear and, what is happening just wells up inside me. I'm just like this. I can't, I agree with you. This is probably as close to a perfect film. Like, this is just, there's no fat on it. Everything is done so well. The acting is stunning. Just, yeah.
So go ahead.
I was blown away. Like, just at the end of it, I was just like, wow. Just, wow. Like, the fact is, like, this is like his second real big, his second movie that he's really doing that's not on his own or something, And
yeah, I mean, he cut his teeth a lot in television prior to this. And then, does Duel, which is excellent.
But then does this, and it's just like, your trajectory changes. And for good reason, because this movie is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That moment where Dreyfuss is diving and that guy's head appears without the eye scares the crap out of me every time I see it. So they shot that scene after principal photography was done. Mm-hmm. They shot that in the editor, Verna's swimming pool.
Oh, did they? That's funny.
And they threw milk into the pool to cloudy it up.
Okay.
So that it would look like seawater. But yeah, that shot, and I think there's some other stuff that they grabbed later too, perspective stuff, because they edited it at her house, just somewhere in the San Fernando Valley. I don't remember where. But yeah, they cut that thing together. But what helped was Verna, they knew the shark had issues right from the jump. And she did something really unique, especially for 1974 when they're making this movie, is she decided to be around during principal photography. And she was meeting with Spielberg pretty regularly throughout production, and she was kind of cutting the film together as it went. And that hadn't really been done a whole lot prior to that. I mean, usually you shoot everything you're going to get, and then it goes to the editor way later. And so the fact that she involved herself so closely with him so early on is what enabled them to problem solve so much throughout the shoot and get us where we are now, 50 years removed with this. Excellent. But yeah, that scene always scares the snot out of me.
Yeah.
When his head just pops in. And that was something they shot later just as a nice jump. There's a couple good jump scares in the movie. But yeah, I grew up with this too. It's amazing I even got in the water in North Carolina as a kid. We would go to the beach there in the Outer Banks for a while there. It was almost every year. And I still vacation out there. And it's amazing I even was okay with getting in the water, with
doing that.
Jaws on the mind.
Well, I could tell you, my cousin Paul saw it. I mean, he's a little bit older than us, and so I think he saw it pretty early on, when it was in the theaters, possibly. Not in the theaters, no. Was after that, but like he saw it early on, and it's like he won't go in the ocean to this day. Like he'll go up like maybe to like calf depth, but nope, you will never catch him in the ocean because Jaws freaked him out that much.
Yeah,
like he was like, just nope. There's no point. He's like, there's pools, there's lakes. I don't need to be in the ocean.
Yeah.
There's no sharks.
I mean, you're statistically, your odds are so low, but
but you watch something like Jaws, and that as a kid.
I do remember my mom talking about, because she would have been like old enough to they saw it in the theater.
Yeah,
and she grew up in Virginia Beach, and she said nobody wanted to get in the water for like a month after it came out. Like it totally killed swimming
sports,
and nobody wanted to mess with it. No. Can't blame them. So yeah, it's mastery of suspense is obviously epic, but I go back to that just iconic scene with the three of them in the boat and Shaw recounting the story of the USS Indianapolis, which is really interesting to me because I could never figure it out. Apparently somebody, the screenwriter or somebody had knowledge of that event, but it wasn't public knowledge because it was I think it's been quite a while. I think it's probably been 20, 25 years maybe that a kid did some research and verified all of it.
Yeah.
that it really happened. Because when the movie was made, it was assumed to have been a made up story, and they confirmed all of it, like including all the guys, getting eaten by
sharks,
tiger sharks in the Indian Ocean, I believe. Which I never understood. Of all the crappy sequels made to Jaws, I never understood why they didn't make a prequel of the USS Indianapolis of that.
Yeah.
With Shaw as the main character, and obviously he lives, but like the terror. But yeah, his monologue is one of the great monologues in all of film history. His delivery and the facial expression change in Dreyfuss and
it's huge.
And Scheider is just so, and I just love that. It starts really funny. They're showing each other scars and.
Well, I love how organic that scene makes, because obviously Quentin, Dreyfuss's character, Hooper or whatever, hate each other. Absolutely hate each other. And then there's this one scene there on the boat sharing a meal, and then they start swapping stories of whatever, and it becomes that there's that bond. Now, they don't become best friends, but a little bit of the animosity goes away. And I mean, it's so natural. It just shows you how much of a master Spielberg is in kind of getting those characters to move along their arcs of how do you connect these. Plus, it also has the two songs I like to sing all the frickin' time. One, the Spanish Ladies one, which, by the way, I literally found out that Shaw actually sang that in another movie in like 1957 called The Buccaneers. Oh. Like, no joke. He sang that exact song, the Spanish Ladies one, and then so he sings it again in Jaws, right? And I thought it was just Jaws. Like, I didn't know. And then I just happened to, because it's the 50th anniversary, when it, popped up on somewhere where it was just like, did you know this song was sung by Shaw in another movie? And so I was like, oh, my goodness. But then, though, I had a drink about an hour ago. It's got, I sing that one all the time, too. It's just stuff that has rattles around in my brain from this movie that just doesn't leave. And it's just fun. It's like there's so much that kind of sticks with you. But I can tell you the one thing that I found the scariest, which obviously they did because they couldn't really see the shark, was the barrels, the floating barrels.
Yeah.
That stuff was freaky. Because, again, you don't know what's below the surface. You can see these, but you don't really know what else is going on. And that added a whole layer of terror that I think if they actually could see the shark wouldn't be as fearful. Because...
Well, you start... I remember even as a younger kid, thinking about the air volume that's in these barrels to allow them to float, and that this thing is just with ease pulling one right after another down below the surface. And it gets really creepy visually to me when you can see the thing pinging on it, like the strobe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
When they're at night, when they're in the boat, and it does kind of an outward look, and you see it kind of floating along, and then it starts ramming the boat. I do love how Shaw plays Quint. So I don't want to say overconfident, but in a lot of ways overconfident. But he just is so sure of himself. I mean, he has his boat. He's been doing this for years. Blah blah blah. That his confidence turns into overconfidence. Shaw just plays it to a T of the old grizzled seaman who's been just out with his boat for decades, knows these waters better than anybody else, and is sure of himself, walking on the side of his boat when it's going 5, 6, 7 knots in the open ocean. And then obviously Schneider does a fantastic job of playing the opposite of that, of being so unsure of himself and almost like dead weight on this outing. And Dreyfuss is kind of that happy middle of the voice of reason, but also the voice of intelligence, and kind of can see both sides of I agree with Schneider on this point, but Quint's right on this point, and kind of this, it's a nice balance between the three characters that are on the boat. And I had forgotten how long it takes to get to that point.
It does. Yeah. And because most of the movie, it's man versus man between
Schneider and the mayor.
Between Brody and the mayor.
Yeah.
And the rest of the town folk that just haven't bought into what's really going on. Yeah. And then it finally pivots to man versus beast.
Well, because in my memory, it's always the moment that they put out the kill a shark, and then Quint scratches his fingers along the chalkboard to get everyone's attention. I'm in my mind before seeing it, it's always been like, oh, that happens, and then it's the three of them on the boat, right? But no, that's like super early on, and then you have this whole like 30 to 45 minutes of time where you're still on the island before you actually go out on the boat. So it's just the things that you think are how it goes, and find out, no, you've been remembering it wrong for decades. But this, again, I gotta say, this is just absolutely stunning, this movie, of just, again, 50 years later, to make me feel things just as much as I felt them probably the first time I watched them.
Yeah.
I
mean, and it opens immediately with the lady skinny dipping, and just the horror of that whole encounter. It's like, this is our starting point.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Though okay, so that does, there's two things I kind of have small quote unquote criticisms of the movie, and one of them is that opening scene, because like it starts off like super dark,
right,
and then it's like, is it sunset? Is it sunrise? Or like, is it super early in the morning? But then the cutbacks between the guy on the beach who's too drunk, and the sun's kind of coming up or going down. I forget exactly.
It's coming up.
Yeah. And then her out in the water, and it's like pitch dark. It's like this weird dichotomy. And then the second one is kind of some of the shots of when the boat's supposed to be far out at sea. But then instead of looking at the boat from the back, they do the boat from the front, and then you can see land like not even that far away. And I'm like, so they're really not that far out to sea,
No,
so it's just,
no. But even though they weren't that far, weather was still a nightmare.
Yeah.
Because it just doesn't take that much wind to get the ocean choppy.
Yeah.
Where you're miserable on the water. And yeah, this is the one that basically Spielberg swore off filming on open water ever again. All of the boat sequences in Hook were in a soundstage.
Yeah.
And I forget which director was getting ready to shoot water sequences, and he told them, like, don't do it for real on the open ocean. It's just going to be miserable. And I forget if they heeded his advice or not. But it was legitimate. It was like, that's what makes me appreciate a movie like Master and Commander so much. Although wasn't that, I feel like they actually built something.
Well, they did a lot of like the close in stuff, like when they're in the water of like, or sunken ships, where I think we're in sound stages and tanks and stuff like that.
Well, no, there's another thing they built that I think is coastal, like South America. I think it's off and it has a jetty of some kind system to keep the water from being rough, but it looks like you're filming on open ocean, but you're right offshore.
That's nice.
I think that was built for Master and Commander, and I think another movies used it, but Spielberg didn't have anything like that for this, so he was just stuck shooting off the coast of California in terrible conditions, and really wanted to quit. Like, just,
I'm done with this. So
yeah,
I don't blame him. I do have to say, so for being a 50-year-old movie, it doesn't look bad at all.
No.
Like, it definitely looks film grainy.
Yeah.
Like, you can definitely tell. But it does, like, I mean, I watched a EP version of this, and it still looked really good. Like, it was a good transfer into higher definition. So, I mean, say something like that looks pretty good for 50 years old is fantastic,
Well, my DVD was the 25th anniversary, which was a little bit of a remaster. But then we were talking about that off the podcast that 4 years ago they did a 4K restoration of it for both 2D and 3D. And I'm hearing that, and I texted you and said, hey, August 29th, they're releasing it in IMAX for the 50th.
Yeah.
And I confirmed through Regal, it's already shown up on my Regal calendar. And I think it's for several days. I don't think it's just a one-off. And there supposedly was they're thinking maybe a 3D re-release of Jaws. Because in 2021, they did a really in-depth 3D conversion. Which is really interesting because the original 3D Jaws was the red and blue.
Yeah. And was terrible.
Yeah.
And was terrible.
Yeah. And then, I mean, all the Jaws sequels are really bad except for the second one. To me is like tolerable, but
it's still not
after
good.
that, no, it's not. It's not. But
Jaws 6, Jaws in Space was my favorite.
my favorite's the Freddy Krueger Jaws crossover.
The crossover. Well, it reminded me of like what was it, Leprechaun movies or whatever? Like, like they were horror. Like Leprechaun 4 is like Leprechaun in Space, and then Leprechaun 5 is Leprechaun in the Hood, as in DA Hood.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. All I can remember. They did that
with Jason too. They put him in space.
Oh,
it was like the thing you did with horror. Yeah. So yeah, Jaws in Space would be.
The only thing, and because we'll never talk about Leprechaun 5 into Hood, is the only thing I can remember from that movie is like within the first opening sequence, a guy pulls a baseball bat from his afro, and that's it. That's all. He's just
segueing though from Jaws in Space. I do think that this movie set up the blueprint for what makes Ridley Scott's Alien work so well.
Yeah.
Because Alien borrows so many of those techniques, perspectives of the alien has, and the paranoia and tension and fear. Effectively, Alien is Jaws in Space in an editing kind of constructed way, and frankly not showing the alien until the end of the film. It follows the same. This is a formula that really works for building tension. In fact, I think we've gotten away from it over the last 50 years. I think the temptation is we've spent all this money on the visual effects, especially if it's an expensive animatronic or costume. We want to show it. Predator did the same thing, man.
Yeah, I was going to bring it up, but yeah.
Predator did the same formula. We didn't see the Predator for like 2/3 of the movie.
You just saw his eye. Yeah, you just saw it through his perspective. Or you saw him invisible jumping from tree to tree.
If you're going to make a movie where something or someone is hunting the rest of your cast of characters, don't show it for 2/3 of the movie. It will create more tension and you will save so much money not having to do the creature effects.
Well, it goes back to kind of some of the old Hitchcockian thing too, of like your mind makes it so much more worse off than what it actually is. So, but I digress. I agree with you. Yeah, it's the age of CGI is like, oh, hey, we just do whatever, whenever. Let's just show it and get people scared of it. And it's like, no, this is not nearly as scary. Like I know what to look for. I know what to expect. It doesn't have the big reveal.
I mean, even Christopher Nolan uses this. He didn't show Batman for 2/3 of the movie of Batman Begins. We're going to build tension and not show him.
Oh, I still remember when Batman Begins came out, the girl I was dating at the time got really mad at Hans Zimmer because Zimmer basically said like, oh, I'm not going to give him a Batman theme yet because he hasn't earned it. And she was so pissed about that. I just was like, I don't understand. Whatever. Okay, go. And that's why it didn't work out.
That's why it didn't work out.
Because we disagreed about Hans Zimmer not giving him the Batman theme.
That's fair. Yeah.
Batman Begins. So that was the beginning of the end right there.
You got to stick with Hans.
You got to stick with Hans. Anyways, wow, we have digressed even more so. But I'm so impressed with this movie of watching it again. I cannot get over the fact at how much I enjoyed rewatching this film. It is, like obviously I have a special place in my heart for Star Wars. So I'm going to rewatch those, every year and stuff like that. I enjoy this movie, but this does not hold a special place in my heart. Like I don't look back at my times. Again, like I said, growing up, a lot of times I was like, I don't really want to watch Jaws again. It's on TV again, or I'll be playing with my Legos or G.I. Joes while it's on because other people are watching it. Like I'm not actually like that invested into the movie. So it's not nostalgic for me to watch this film. So to watch it again and then be this enthralled with it was, I think, even more impressive than going back and watching some of the stuff that I'm nostalgic about.
Right. Yeah, this was never like one of my favorites of Spielberg either, but I definitely have appreciated it the entire time, especially once you know the challenges in crafting it.
Yeah.
This was one of the first films that they really cited and pushed and played segments of in film school.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. It gets cited in directing classes because of all of the challenges that he has to overcome and all the problem solving on set, on location. Mm-hmm. And then it immediately gets cited in any editing course you take because of the importance of what Verna did, along with basically her edit combined with Williams' score, giving you the perspective of the shark and then giving you a audible cue to when the shark is around without showing it is, yeah, it's anybody in a film course. Yeah. Jaws is like an early introduction to like do it this way. Like it's
here's a movie where everybody's firing on all cylinders
in the face of severe technical limitations.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Though
by the way, though, go ahead.
No. By the way,
I do have a little bit of a shark phobia. It's apparently not enough to get me to like stay out of the water because I love swimming in the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
Like and I've had sand sharks like come up near me and it didn't freak me out. You just kind of move away. For whatever reason, the way Bruce the shark looks in the water, that thing creeps me out. And you could not pay me enough money to get in a swimming pool with that animatronic.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It terrifies me. Yeah, I've seen photos of it, like, where they're, like, laying in its mouth, you know, like, behind the scenes, really funny photo. You couldn't get me to do that, even though it's not real.
Yeah. Interesting.
You just...
Okay. No.
The phobia is, like, legit. Like, I don't get me in a swimming pool with, like, a 20-foot recreation of a great white. Like, I'm not putting my toe in. It just... No, thank you. So that kind of feeds in when I watch this. It's legit. Like there's times where, you know, there's certain scenes that definitely not as much of jump scare, but just creep me out. Even 50 years later, I think they got the right shots of the animatronic where it's still pretty dang convincing. Like,
well, that's what I was going to bring up. What I was going to say is even watching this 50 years later, I was like, I was still highly impressed with Jaws with the shark. Like, again, I think it helped not seeing it for most of it, but even when it is there, it still looks scary. I'm still like, this is the scene from my nightmares of sitting on a boat and it's going under and there's just these big, great white jaws clacking at me. And then of course to see Quint just be eaten alive. That is also nightmare fuel.
Screams and
yeah.
Nightmare fuel.
Yeah. Very much nightmare fuel.
I did like that they used there is real shark footage in the film though as well, which is cool. They built a smaller cage with a little man in there and then I'm trying to think what size sharks those would have probably been. Probably 7-8 footers.
Mm-hmm. To hit it, yeah.
It's super funny. And you can kind of tell, it's a little figurine.
Yeah. Well, and you can also tell when they do some of the live shark stuff that like when it's just him swimming, I'm like, yeah. The proportions from what we've seen, like the overview, that it doesn't fit. Like it's definitely got a much more elongated body than a normal great white.
Right. Yeah.
But still, I mean, you do what you have to, and I'll suspend I'm suspending my disbelief anyways. So might as well I can do that and feel good.
I agree with you. It's held up better than some movies made 20 years ago.
Yeah. Oh, I agree with that.
I think that feeds into its longevity as a favorite. Movie for a lot of folks is that the visual effects have largely held up to a really high degree.
Yeah.
And I would say that about a lot of Spielberg.
Jurassic Park we talked about already. Still looks great.
The stuff in Indiana Jones for the most part, there's a couple scenes here and there, some blue screen that have kind of fallen off, but by and large, and then Close Encounters. Just
saying.
Yeah.
I do have to say I miss Dreyfuss, acting. Like he's really good. Even just this little small character he plays here, I'm just like, man. And just thinking all the other stuff that he's done, I'm just, man, why? Do you not do anything more?
Yeah, I don't know. His star kind of waned, but he was, Spielberg said for the longest time that was his on-screen alter ego. Was Richard Dreyfuss, the closest to his kind of persona. And
never mind, it looks like he is still doing tons of stuff. He even has
he's just not like, I don't know.
He hasn't done anything that I've really seen for a while.
And I think he can be pretty challenging to work with too.
You don't say.
Yeah, I've heard.
So I've heard. An actor who had some renown in his early years is tough to work with? No. That's unheard of. My goodness.
No, I do like Dreyfuss. I mean, yeah. And he worked with Spielberg like up through into the 90s, like early 90s. He did Always, and so, but yeah, after like Always and like What About Bob? Oh, and Mr. Holland's Opus is literally like the last movie in a movie theater I think I ever saw him in.
Yeah, same. Other than that, yeah, it's no. I think he played something in Red.
Did he?
Yeah, with Bruce Willis and Helen Mirren.
All right.
Yeah, I think he's in that, but I think it's a smaller bit role or something. I don't really remember him, but yeah, something that he helmed or did was definitely Mr. Holland's Opus.
Yeah, and then Scheider owned the 70s largely. I mean, he was just. And I have to admit, I was a big fan of Sequest.
I love Sequest as well.
With him, and he was perfect. Like, perfect casting. It's like, oh, this is the guy that killed Jaws. Yeah, he's totally this futuristic submarine commander.
Yeah, it makes sense. Oh.
Yeah. I was a kid, man. I was all about some Sequest.
I have
DSV.
not rewatched any Sequest.
Don't do it. No,
don't ruin it. It'll ruin. I don't want to go back.
Don't ruin your childhood. Leave it in the rear view. It was so much fun.
Well, it's like the same, like I was a big Space Above and Beyond fan. And I guess like I started watching the first episode on like YouTube, and I stopped at like 5 minutes in. I was like, oh my goodness, this is so much better in my head. Why? Yeah. No, I'm not going to ruin it.
Yeah,
like, I'm just going to stop. Like,
Sequest,
this is terrible.
No.
So there is one fun story about the lady who plays Mrs. Kittner, and then her son, the guy.
Tell it, because I know it, but it's hysterical.
So apparently she went into a restaurant, like a seafood restaurant, and on the menu was the Alex Kittner sandwich, and which was, the kid who dies on the raft or whatever, and she played the mother. And she happened to mention that to her server, who then rushed back to tell the owner, because the owner was the kid.
Yes.
Like they were like, he's like, I played Alex, and like they had this like really cool, like they hadn't seen each other since like the actual movie. So it's this kind of random happenstance of them showing up. So it was really cool.
I love it though, because there's one of the best memes from this movie is like, you'll be old, but you'll never be Mrs. Kittner old.
That's so true. She had like the kid was like 7, 8, maybe, like some.
She
really
looked like
young.
she was 50, 60.
Oh man, my goodness, they all look like. I'm guessing. Scheider was supposed to be maybe in his 30s. He looks like he's in his 50s. At that point in Jaws, like, man, smoking really makes you look older.
Yeah, who would have thought it? Yeah. No, he would have been like 42.
Yeah, but he was playing. Yeah, but he was playing probably someone younger in that. I don't think it was playing his age, but
he looks 50. Yeah, I
was gonna say he looks rough. Now I do have to say one nice thing is, I mean, you just see all those people on the beach. No one's on their cell phone. They're just enjoying the moment, and then when the people see shark, no one's on their phones recording it. They're just like helping people get out. Like, wow.
Yeah.
Everybody
else would just be
put this on the gram, on the TikToks.
Yeah. Oh man, I hope they don't remake this. I appreciated movies that were doing the shark thing, but not
being
remaking Jaws.
Yeah.
Like Deep Blue Sea. Wasn't. Yeah.
And Sharknado.
Oh gosh. How many? And they made more than one Sharknado.
It's like 3 or 4 or something. I don't know, but yeah. But I get what you're saying. Like, or like Deep Blue Sea, or like Megalodon, or all those.
Oh, the Meg.
Yeah, the Meg. Yeah.
Which they're terrible, but like Deep Blue Sea is probably honestly the best of those films, and it's not great, but it's entertaining, and thinking of the Chappelle doing Samuel L. Jackson beer. See Deep Blue Sea? Shark ate me in that one. I think he's mid speech in that one when the shark breaks through. Yeah, it's great. Great.
Oh my goodness.
There was supposedly a new, I don't remember the name of it, but like there's a movie either in development or getting released soon, an independent film. I can't remember the name of it. The premise is crazy though. It's a serial killer that takes people out on these like small offshore excursions and then feeds them to this great white that he knows where it's. Like, it's creepy. Yeah, like
That
good
is
premise,
creepy.
but like
Yeah.
super. They said it's like the first shark movie since like Jaws that actually is
It's good.
sort of reinvigorates the fear level of. But yeah, I know there's some ocean explorers out there that hate these movies because they've created this like unhealthy fear of sharks. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like,
The likelihood is
oh
slim
yeah.
to none.
And I'm just gonna put it out there: if you don't go out early in the morning or at like 4 or 5 in the evening, you swim like in between those times, your odds go down even further. Most of those shark attacks, especially those East Coast shark attacks over the last like 10 years, those people are in the water at like 5, 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
That's feeding time, dude.
Yeah.
It's just straight up feeding time. Like,
Breakfast
and
and
then
dinner.
the early ones are like usually surfers,
Yeah.
which is a whole nother issue because the silhouette from below of a surfer, they get confused of like what it is. They think it's like a seal or something like that. So yeah, don't swim.
Don't swim.
Period. Just don't swim.
Just don't swim.
Just follow your cousin's advice.
Just don't swim in the ocean. Go into a lake or a pool. It's safer. All right. Well, any last thoughts, good sir?
No, I mean we're kind of broken records at this point, but like if you've not watched Jaws in a hot minute, then do yourself a favor and pop it on. It's fun to kind of celebrate the legacy of this thing. It's just a tremendous film. How about you? Got any?
Just that I just read a little tidbit that I thought was really interesting, but that Bruce the Shark only has 4 minutes of screen time in the entire movie.
There you go.
That's it.
There you go. Yeah.
4 minutes
And no dialogue.
fair. That's fair. No dialogue.
Yeah.
You don't need your bad guy doesn't need to talk.
No.
It's scarier that way.
No. Anyway, we appreciate everybody tuning in this week as we talk shop and celebrate 50 years of Jaws. That's kind of crazy. And I'm pretty confident that this thing will be spoken highly of in another 50 years. I really do. I think it'll always sit there as an absolute pillar of cinema. So we appreciate you tuning in this week. We should be back next week with another episode of Cinema A to B.
Thanks, everybody.